Hi.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Well, we're all locked down in Melbourne here in Australia, and it's crazy. Yeah, we're just trying to be as creative as possible. And thank you very much again for being here on my show. I love your performance, your voice, everything.
Thank you, Borna. Thanks for having me.
Anytime. So, what we gonna do today?
I am going to play an interpretation of a song which is very different from, it is Nick Cave song, but it's very different from Nick Cave song. It's with Kamanche, and it's the melody. Some melodies are, you know, kind of inspired from that song, but I've completely changed it. And the song is Babe I'm on Fire by Nick Cave. But yeah, what? I didn't have to say what it is, so maybe I had to ask you later if you could pick which song that is, but you know, I gave it away too soon.
Okay, so whenever you're ready, please. We can't wait. Oh,
This way.
hi.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. I'm gonna
Good to see you.
put you in here. I think it'll be nicer this way. There we go. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm so glad I'm having you here. Thank you very much for being here on my show. And do you want to say hi to those who are watching us now or maybe later?
Yeah. Thanks for having me. I appreciate you. And what up to everybody here now and later? And sorry if you might be able to hear my son in the background. He's getting a bath, which he has a love-hate relationship with. So my apologies.
That's absolutely fine. I love that actually. That's absolutely fine. So I've got lots of questions here for you.
Awesome.
And as soon as I mentioned that actually I'm gonna have you here on my show. So I've gotten lots of questions from people that I try my best to get them as much as possible. So Ethan, my questions are quite long but quite important, and I'm really interested to know about your answer. So, as you know, I'm from Iran and I've been living in Australia for almost 16 years. Did you ever know that Iran is the only country in the world where issues you a new birth certificate after you change your gender? But if you identified as a homosexual, you will be executed. What I'm trying to say is I cannot return to my motherland to visit my family, and I haven't seen them for almost 16 years. What do you say about that for the first part of my questions, that Iran is an Islamic country and where the issues the new birth certificate?
Yeah.
And then,
I mean, it it's interesting. So it's like they'll issue a new birth certificate if you fall in line with like heteronormative life. Is that like what happens? So like if you transition from female to male or male to female and you are straight and you look normal, then you're okay, right? That's what you're saying?
yeah.
But if
Hmm.
if you're gay or homosexual, then not okay.
No,
Wow.
no.
Yeah, that's like unfortunate and really like not good for either person because you can't like just wake up one day and you know what I mean, like change everything about you. And some people are
Absolutely.
transgender and homosexual, so that doesn't work either. So it feels like it's really like it does it's unfortunate and it's sad that that's how it is there. You know what I mean? I mean,
Yes.
yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, the reason that I've asked you this question because you were born in America and you have probably no clue to what's been happening in Iran regarding of the question that I've asked,
Mm.
and it's important for me to hear someone else like perspective about what I've just said. So we live in a 21st century, but there are still so many people in the world who don't know what gender assignment
Mm.
or adoption means. So you're probably are the best person who can answer this question. Who is transgender?
Mm. So, transgender just means like if you are born one sex and identify as the other. So, for me, I was born a female. I was assigned female at birth. And when I was about 22 years old, I discovered what transgender was. And I was like, that's me. And I transitioned at 22 years old. So I've been transitioned for about 10 years now.
Okay, so all right. Okay, can you talk to me more about that? Because lots of people think, well, I don't get it. Why she
Mm,
changed, or why he wants to change his like gender.
right. Yeah,
What
well,
do you think?
yeah, I mean, I think it can be confusing for people who have never had to experience any type of gender dysphoria. So, like, gender dysphoria means like your physical anatomy doesn't match the gender you identify as. So, like, as a woman, when I was a woman and living life as a woman, like, I had breasts, right? And
Mm-hmm.
as a man, I was like, this isn't right. Like, I'm not supposed to have breasts. Like, what's going on? And so that can create gender dysphoria. And so I think for people who are cisgender, which just means that their birth sex aligns with their gender, it just means that, like, you've never had to experience that, right? I kind of equate it to, like, people who are gay or lesbian and people who are heterosexual. It's like, if you're a guy and you've never had a sexual thought about another guy, then you don't even know what it's like to have those thoughts and what society does to you when you have those thoughts. And so I think it's very similar in that sense. Like, it makes sense to me that cis people wouldn't understand what it is to be trans, but I mean, it's literally like waking up and looking in the mirror and being like, get me out of this body. What is going on? You know what I mean? It's that's what it feels like. And it's as simple as that, except I know that it's hard to actually understand, you know?
That's very understandable. Yeah, one of the bigger things that happens after gender reassignment is the abandonment of these people by their community, family, or old friends, which unfortunately cause them to commit suicide because of their souls are not really matched or able to deal, with a new body or with a new gender. So tell me about your experience. When did you decide that you want to change, and what happened? Explain to me from the beginning what was happening.
Yeah. So for me, like, I grew up as what people called like a tomboy. So I just was a very like masculine girl. So like I was stereotypical. Like, I played a lot of sports. I was very just I don't know, I guess I just wasn't very feminine. I guess people knew that about me, even though I was a little girl. People always called me a tomboy, which is right.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. But I didn't think anything of it, honestly. Like, I had a mom who was working a lot. I had two older brothers, and, we got by with what we could. And I think as long as I wasn't in trouble, like, it was okay. Everything was okay. And so I didn't start questioning who I was, at least in society, until when I was like 13, I realized that I liked girls. So that made me realize, like, okay, so I must be a lesbian because I was born a girl and I like girls, and that means you're a lesbian, right? So I was like, okay, I'm a lesbian. And that felt good because I entered the LGBT community. I was turning 14, 15, 16, 17 years old. And, as a lesbian, it was kind of like more okay for me to be more masculine. I was like, I self-identified butch lesbian. I, wore lots of masculine clothes, and it was like okay in that community, right? It was more accepted. And then I met, pretty much what happened was, like, I met a transgender man, and that kind of changed my whole world. Like, I didn't know that you could be born a girl but feel like a man and then transition. So I had all these feelings that I didn't have language for. And so when I met another trans man, he just was able to articulate how I was feeling that I'd never heard before. And it was really awesome, and it changed my life, literally. Like, I don't know I probably would have discovered what it is to be trans, like, later on in life. But I was already 22 years old, and, I felt really lost, and I was really just, like, not on a good path in life until I discovered that I was trans, and just so many things made sense to me after that.
So you literally, at the age of 13, you started like discovering or identifying who you really are, but there was not much source around, and apart from the guy, or apart from that man who's changed his gender. So, and then you started realizing, oh, okay, I'm very similar.
Right.
And okay, that's very, very interesting. So you lived in another body, as you mentioned, and we know, for many years.
how long did it take for you, your body to become what it is now? And how did you deal with it mentally? Yeah, you knew that you wanted to change, but actually, when you get to the point that the transformation or transition started to happen. So tell me about that process. How were you able to deal with it mentally?
Yeah, I mean, I think once I got the language to understand how I was feeling, it 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 was really good in some ways, and it almost felt overwhelming in others because now I had all of this language, and I was able to talk about how I was feeling, which it was almost like, once you start talking about it, like you just start talking and keep going. And so for me, it was like once I was able to articulate how I felt about my body, I knew that I wanted to change it because I knew that it was possible to change it. And so I wanted to just feel better and feel better. And it felt like I was like walking around the world and people couldn't really like see me. Like it was like wearing like almost like a costume, like people are like telling you like, hey ma'am, hi ladies, like they're using all this language that doesn't feel right, and all the clothes that I'm like wearing don't feel right because the girls' clothes fit me not how I want, and the boys' clothes didn't fit me either right because my body was still like so feminine. So I pretty much just went online and started getting resources on how to transition medically. And I reached out to some therapists. I talked to therapists. I went to New York City. I was living in New York at the time. And I went into New York City and I went to the Callan Lord LGBT Center. And I was able to get on hormones through the center through informed consent because I was 22 at the time. I wasn't like a kid or anything. And then I started taking hormones. So I started taking hormones every week, and I still do take an injection every week of hormone replacement therapy. And honestly, I would say within about 2 to 3 years of taking hormone replacement therapy, I was being, sir'd and he'd and him and using all the right pronouns, and people were viewing me for like the man that I was. I was able to start looking in the mirror and start to see myself looking back. I started growing like a little bit of a beard. My face was a little
Change.
more, round. It started getting a little more straight. And also, I was about 3.5 years on testosterone, which is the hormone that I take. And that's when I decided to get something called top surgery, which is the removal of your breast tissue, to have a more masculinized chest, exactly. And that was really one of the, like, hormones were great. They saved my life. And then, like, the next step to really feeling free in my body was top surgery because it was just like, it was just always there, never going away. And it was very like lower parts, right? Like are kind of hidden, right? Like, but breast tissue is like right in front, right out there. So it was important, right? Yeah, right. It was important to not have that constant reminder. You know what I mean? For me, and to be able to like not wear a shirt and feel comfortable and look in the mirror when I'm showering and feel comfortable about myself. So, that was kind of like my process in that sense. I just wanted to feel okay. Like that's all I wanted. I didn't think past just like, I just want to wake up and take a shower and get dressed and have my clothes fit and look in the mirror and like who I saw looking back at me, right? Like a lot of us want to like, we want to cut our hair or we want to dye our hair, or maybe we want to like build some more muscle, or maybe we want to lose some fat. Like there's all these things that we want to do to our bodies to make ourselves feel better.
Good.
But it's not like for trans people, it's not like I just want to dye my hair. It's like, no, like the whole thing is wrong. You know what I mean? It's not like, oh, if I could just tweak this one little thing, I'd feel so good about myself. It's like, no, like I need to start from scratch, like throw that cake in the trash. We have to start again, you know?
Absolutely. And which is makes it even more difficult, because, well, it took a few years for you or for any other like transgender on the planet to understand about themselves first. This is my assumption.
Yeah,
Probably
yeah.
I'm completely wrong. Or even because it's very like a gay man in the world, so we try to escape because they don't call it norm. For myself, when I started like identifying myself and just being aware of that, like I was born in Iran, and it wasn't matter that what kind of family I came from, but the thing was like I had to understand about me first because for years I tried to escape without any reason because there was nobody else around me to understand about who I am. And I was struggling a lot. And did you have that sort of experience also because you didn't know what you were?
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, I think in the LGBT community, like, I don't know, there's some people who try to really separate the transness, like transgender from LGB, but like the similarities are really similar. Like it's a lot of that self-exploration, like you were saying, feeling like no one understands you, feeling like, you in order to get support, like you need to find people who understand what you're going through, right? Like kind of like what you said, like just feeling like I need to get out of here because I need to feel seen, and I mean I feel terrible that you haven't been able to see your family, but I feel like really happy for you that you're able to live like more free and be so public and out there, and I mean it shows a lot of tenacity that you have.
Absolutely, absolutely. Aiden, did you ever experience the time during your like childhood or uh when you went to school or when you became like older, when you were judged by those around you or by the society? I would like to know more like I would like to know how others like treated you at that time. Have you ever been experienced bullied because of your kind of boyish character?
Do you mean like now or like earlier in my transition?
Earlier,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I was always, like I said, like I was just always a very like top,
Masculine.
like yeah, like just like masculine little girl. So I always like got picked on and made fun of. I don't I I got teased a lot in school. I think I got lucky by not getting like bullied really badly. Like most people would just like call derogatory names in the hallways, or like like just like it was mostly name calling. Like that's a lot of what I got, and maybe some of like my tough attitude. Maybe like people didn't mess with me as much because I wasn't very like I wasn't soft at all. Like I was very tough and very hard, and like I was very like I didn't like get into fights or anything, but I feel like I had like some oomph behind me. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't just like
Yes.
someone that you would pick on. So most people would just like tease me or make fun of me. So yeah, I definitely experienced that. Both, when I was really younger, and didn't understand what was going on, why I was any different, and when I was older and I knew I was different, and everyone around me knew I was different too, because I was a lesbian, and that was still very different and weird, when I was younger. So
Still is.
yeah,
Still is.
I think people especially in like the U.S. and some more forward thinking like countries, I think they don't always realize how safe it can be. And that's not to say that it's completely safe, but I think like you're saying, like in your country, like you're can go to jail, you can be killed. I mean, those are serious things. Like,
Absolutely.
so yeah, I think it's still not amazing by any
No,
means.
What about your family? What about your friends? How are they reacting towards you?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, what about them?
Yeah, most of my friends were pretty cool. Like I said, I was like a lesbian, so a lot of my friends were not actually LGBT, but they were like pretty open. And I think like the number one thing I kind of got from my friends and even some of my family was just this thought of like, well, why can't you just be a girl who's like very manly? Like, why can't you just be who you are, and we can, you can dress how you want. And I think they didn't they didn't understand that I didn't want to play a role. I didn't want to just play like my life away as like some butch masculine girl. Like I knew that that wasn't me, and I wasn't that person that they thought I could be. And so it was,
Right.
that was probably one of the harder parts. But I will say that, most of my friends came around. I did lose some of my friends, but the real ones stuck through it.
That's what I've experienced myself as a gay man. As soon as I mentioned that, what's my gender orientation is, I've lost them, but I didn't care anymore because I had that strength to not caring anymore because I wanted to be myself, and I was just getting really tired of hiding for many years, and there was no reason. No, I want to change the atmosphere, so we made an agreement.
Yes.
So I want you grab your phone and reverse the camera and take us around or show us something.
Yeah.
And I think it can be interesting for like those, to see more about your life and your family maybe, and these sort of things. And please, you're a tour guide now. Go on.
So this is the real life of any new parent. So this is the living room. It's a complete mess. Do you see the mess? Okay. This is the kitchen, another mess. This is real life.
My God.
But there is some cookies, so that's always a plus. We love to bake here in this house. But what I will show you is...
Oh, my God.
This is a plant. Oh, they're not in here. I thought that my son would be in here, but he's not in here. This is where he takes a nap. So this is... I just put this new plant in the bathroom. Have you ever done this before?
No.
Okay, so this is my new favorite things. I know, it's weird, right? But when I saw it, I was like, this is brilliant. So this is a shower, and my son just took a bath, and we put this awesome plant in here, and it feels like I'm getting like showered in the jungle. It's so cool.
That's interesting.
Yeah, right? I don't know. I love it. We got like a lot of plants. So this is kind of another really beautiful plant here. And up here, up top is some more. We have like some more plants up here. So we love.
They're hiding everywhere.
Yeah, we love them. It's really good for like, for your like body and the air. You know what I mean? Just to have a bunch of plants. I mean, we've got tons of them. So there's some more. There's another one over there.
Oh my God, I love it! I love it! I love it! Where is it? What's the name of your child?
Antler. His name is Antler.
Antler.
Yeah.
Where is he?
So I think he's taking a nap. We can try to peek in here. Let's see. Okay, we're gonna peek.
See.
That's good. Shh. He's sleeping. He's sleeping in there. Can you see him? He's sleeping. So it's 7:25 here in the States where I'm at, and so he's asleep right now. Well, he's attempting to go to sleep right now. So.
So okay, all right, attempting.
Yes. Well, he makes all the rules. You know what I mean?
That's it. Okay, talk to me about your current situation, about your current life, your wife. And in any case, you've tried years years to have such a family that what you have right now. So tell me, this is the kind of new life for you. Am I right?
Yeah. You know, I think it's like, it's interesting having a baby. It like,
Why?
you know what? Like, I think so. Me and my wife were in our mid 30s. 33, and she's 36. And it's like you have your way of living, and then you have a baby, and everything changes. And so that's been like a big impact in my life. Like just the way you think, like the way you act day to day, your priorities. It's like you're no longer the only person you have to care for, you know? And so that's like, it just changes your mindset. And as far as like being a trans family, because like I'm trans and my wife is cisgender. And so like
Your wife is what? Sorry.
cisgender. So she's a cis woman. So her birth sex is the same as her identified sex. And so,
Okay.
right. And sorry. And so, you know, what I've noticed in the trans community is just like how many people say like, oh, I didn't know we could have a baby. I didn't know this. I didn't know that. And it's amazing what stories we kind of tell ourselves because of what society has told us, you know, like we haven't seen not that I'm the first by any means. There's tons of other families out there, just like there's tons of other like lesbian and gay and bisexual families, but like you just don't see them as much, you know? And so I think sources like social media like allow us to open up the minds of the young trans and LGBT people that like we can have families if we want them. Like it's not so far-fetched, you know? So that's been like that's been one of the coolest things is to just talk to other people about starting families and kind of re-sparking that in their life. You know, a lot of people want to have a family, especially like, I mean, I'm sure you can relate. Like a lot of people are not like accepted by their families or kicked out of like, you know, where they're living because of their sexuality or their gender identity. So I feel like it's important for us to be able to create and cultivate our own families. You want to come over here and say hi? This is our first child. This is Lucky. This is our firstborn right here. Say hi.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, she's precious.
Hello. Very good response.
She's very talkative, that's for sure.
So, how are your family, your mom, the way that she thinks you now? She sees you now.
Yeah.
You know, and how is your relationship with her?
Yeah, you know, my relationship with my mom is good. I mean, I think she doesn't always understand where I'm coming from, but she loves me.
No one does.
Right, yeah, right.
None of us family.
Yeah. But I feel lucky that like she loves me to the point where she just, even if she doesn't get it, she's just like, okay, you know what I mean? Like I don't get it, but sure, you know. And I think that's because I was very depressed when I was younger, and I self-harmed and was suicidal, and I think she knew that. So I think for her, she knows just what an accomplishment it is for me. And I don't mean to be dramatic when I say this, but just like for me to be alive. I think she knows that there is a high possibility that I might not be here if I wasn't able to transition and be myself and live the life that I'm living. So I think she always keeps that in the back of her mind, like, oh, hey, like I could not agree with my son and kick him out, so to speak, of my life, or I can just make sure he's happy, make sure, you know, he's being like a good man and just kind of be there, you know?
Yeah, well, the thing is, like, I give her 100% right, you know, to any parents, because apart from transferring, you know, to a new body, like for us or being gay, we accept that, but it doesn't mean that my family should accept what I accepted, because I had a similar problem with my mom when I told her about, because I kept being pushed, like, why you don't have a girlfriend? Why you don't have a girlfriend? Why you don't have a girlfriend? You're, you know, you have a, you know, you've got a look, you know, you're an educated man, you're an experienced man. I said, well, and it was a time that I was trying to understand myself. And also, as soon as I came out of the closet, I mentioned about who I am. My mom didn't talk to me for a year. And one of the things that people make a mistake, gay, lesbian, transgender, any regard, so they keep pushing it. They try to convince their family. And I've learned through my experience that as long as you just try to convince them means that you're doing something wrong and you want their acceptance, you want their approval, which is no good, it doesn't work that way. And when I left it, she started educating herself. And then she called me back after a year and said, I'm sorry, I didn't know what you were talking about. But unfortunately, in many cases, you know, people lose their family, which it's very sad.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that if we accept that, that's what I'm understanding. It doesn't mean that, you know, and what I believe. So if I understand about who I am, I have to expect everyone should understand about who I am. And it's a process.
I love that. That's great, though. I believe what you're saying. I mean, it's just, yeah, like you said, if you have to convince someone, then you're kind of saying that what you're doing is not right. So I love that approach. I think I totally back you up.
Yeah, thank you. So when I said I was going to talk to you, I received lots of messages asking you if you have ever had a bitter or sad experiences with a psychologist or psychiatrist giving you the wrong guidance or idea about who you are. Because in many countries, many psychologists think you want to do it to get attention. In Islamic country, psychologists usually tell families, don't worry, he or she will be fine. You know, she just put like a boy clothes on it. So, or, you know, they're just pushing it and they're just ignoring it. And they will get better in the future. Don't worry about her. Don't worry about him. And this is lie. This is disaster, you know, for many people, particularly for those who are not coming from educated family, and they're quite traditional. And I know many people who now have a family. That person is a father or mother of the family, but that's not true. But that man actually is a woman, and he's been pretending for years to be who he is not, you know, and act like a man. But you understand that, we understand that, you know, and it's like a torture. What do you think about that? And also, have you ever been treated badly through a psychologist or psychiatrist?
Yeah, I mean, so first off, luckily I haven't, only because I vetted my own therapist. So I was old enough by the time I was going to therapy to, you know, I was already early 20s. So I was the one who was, you know, paying for the therapist, finding the therapist. So I think because of that situation, I probably just, you know, I went to 5 different therapists before I found one I liked. And only one, and only one of them was pretty just like, I was like, this is definitely not going to work. Like I just felt like not safe there. But luckily,
why not? What was that experience?
You know, I think, you know, because they kept saying that, like, they kept saying there were a lot of rules. So, like, I went to therapist because I wanted to get onto hormone replacement therapy. And back when I was first transitioning, there were certain rules in the DSMI, which is the directory with all the mental illnesses within the, you know, therapy and psychiatrics and stuff. Like, gay used to be in the DSMI, but it's not anymore. Thank you. Thankfully. So I just like, they just were like, oh, you're going to have to live as a man without hormones, and you're going to have to, I had to like report what it felt like to be a man. It just felt like I had to take a test and I was going to be tested on my manhood. And if I, according to this therapist, if I was man enough, then I could transition. And if I wasn't man enough, then that means I couldn't transition. And that, even being so like young in transition and in my life, I was like, that doesn't seem right. Like
Exactly.
that doesn't sound like the right thing. So, I mean, I definitely agree that, you know, therapists are just people, and so are psychiatrists, and like, they have biases, you know, they have biases.
Good
like
point.
maybe they don't love LGBT people. Maybe it's not even a conscious bias. Maybe it's like a, you
It's
know,
possible.
yeah. So I think that, like, you know, finding somebody who is not trying to tell you what to do, but rather just trying to help you recognize and navigate, I think is, like, you know, definitely the best advice. And yeah, I just feel really bad for kids and youth whose families like rely on this therapist, you know what I mean, to help them, when like you don't know what that therapist's interest really is, you know?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I've experienced it myself, and I left it. I was old enough to understand, you know, okay, that person doesn't really get where I came from, and I kept searching till I found a good one.
That's great.
Aydian.
Yes.
It was amazing conversation with you.
Yeah, I loved it.
And did you like it?
Yeah, I did. I feel like, I just appreciated your questions, and I appreciated you just like educating me too, you know what I mean, about what goes on in Iran and other countries, because you're right, like the people in Iran, like I get DMs from other countries where, you know, it's illegal to be LGBT, or they get bullied, or their families don't agree, or they have to go to certain schools, or, you know, religion is really high and they can't. And so, you know, those people, I just, you know, they need more resource, and just talking to you just reminds me of like, hey, like there's more work to be done, you know?
Exactly.
So yeah, I appreciate it.
I really enjoyed. Thank you very much. We come from like 2 months, 3 months ago. I can't remember, to having you here today with me, with us. I really appreciate that. I hope to see you one day in reality.
Yes, that would be awesome. Real life, please.
Exactly, real life. Exactly. Here in Australia, me in America.
Yeah.
So we're just living the crazy situation, new life due to COVID-19, and hopefully the thing's gonna end soon.
Oh my gosh, please.
And yes, it's been like disaster. Thank you.
Yes.
I really appreciate that.
Thank
You're
you.
amazing, and thank you for being here on Borna Kaxerani show.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, and thanks everyone who watched. I really appreciate it. You can go follow me on Instagram at AllianceFear. Check me out, and I'm happy to be a resource for anybody who needs it. Thanks so much, Borna.
You're welcome, darling.
Bye.
Bye.